My name is Fernanda Leal-Pardinas, and I'm the Global Clinical Development Lead for Rare and Metabolic Disorders in Otsuka Pharmaceuticals, and I oversee the development of Repinatrabit for PKU. PKU is a genetic disorder that it is constituted by a faulty enzyme, the phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, which is PAH, that is not working correctly. And what this enzyme does is it breaks down phenylalanine or Phe in our body. And Phe is basically found anywhere in all of the protein that we eat, at least has a little bit of Phe in there. And most of our foods have protein. So not being able to break down this amino acid makes it extremely hard for patients to keep it under control. So they need to have a very strict diet and really control what they're eating all of the time. And there are some pharmacologic options for patients out there, but they don't work for everybody. They work in only in certain subtypes, or they have certain limitations, or it's burdensome to take. So there's still a huge unmet need for more treatments, for more options, more tools in the toolbox for patients with PKU. And that's where we come in. Repinatrabit is an investigational oral therapy that works as a blocker of a transporter in the kidney called SLC6A19. And previously, all of the treatments for PKU that have been studied or are being studied right now are focusing mostly on the faulty enzyme, how to either potentiate the enzyme or replicate the effect of the enzyme. What our discovery and development team did, I think, was very smart. They looked at the downstream effect. They didn't look at the metabolism of Phe. They looked at the excretion of Phe. How are we reabsorbing that Phe in the kidney, and how are we excreting it? So the way that they did it is blocking this transporter called SLC6A19 that is made to reabsorb the Phe. So you block it, and then what you're doing, you're excreting and urinating more Phe. And that was confirmed in our clinical studies when we saw a decrease on the plasma Phe, increase in the urinary Phe. So what we're telling patients is that they are peeing the Phe freely. So what we are seeing in terms of the results of this is a decrease in plasma Phe that is quite significant. And historically, we've seen a 30% reduction of Phe as clinically meaningful, a 30% change from baseline. And what we saw in this adolescent community, I know it was a small sample, but what we saw was a 67% change from baseline, a 67% reduction of Phe, which was very optimistic and very encouraging, especially in the adolescent population that we know they have a hard time being compliant and following up rules. So very exciting. And it just opens up the door for further research in this community and other populations as well. So at ACMG 2026, we presented the results of this open label extension study. So to level set, we have a phase 2 adolescent study that is blinded. We haven't seen the results of that one. But what we do is once the patients finalize the 28 days of that initial study, they roll over to an open label extension that it is for several months. We're hoping even years so that we can evaluate long-term results of Repinatrabit. So we did a data cut on the month after they rolled over, which was about day 56. And we ensured that they were on drug at that point because it's an open label extension. So at least we evaluated the patients, and at least they may have had 28 days of treatment, at the most 56 days of treatment. And the first study, the adolescent study, is still ongoing. We're finalized recruitment and we are following up these patients right now. And the open label extension is gathering patients from our phase 1, phase 2 studies, and also this adolescent study coming along. So what we presented was that we saw early and clinically meaningful reductions in plasma Phe, which were consistent with what we have seen and presented before on our phase 1/2 studies in adults. So it's good to see that in the adolescent community, we're seeing similar results in terms of efficacy and of safety than our adult results. So for the duration of this study, it's only 56 days. So we wouldn't expect to see any changes in cognition, memory, mood, any sort of clinical outcome assessments. We wouldn't expect to see any changes by 56 days. But it is certainly something that we're evaluating in our longer term studies. Our phase 3 study and our open label extension, longer term. We have an ongoing phase 3 study. It's a global study with we're hoping to have close to 37 sites worldwide. It's going to be in the US, Canada, Japan, Europe, and other countries. So it's currently recruiting. It's competitive recruitment. So we're hoping that patients go into clinicaltrials.com, and if they see that they would be interested in participating in our pivotal study, to see if they have a clinical trial site that is close to them and see if they would qualify. But it is exciting. The study is currently recruiting really fast. It's ongoing. And we're hoping to have the results, at least of the first period, by the end of the year. So currently it's adults, but we have now submitted the protocol to the clinical trial sites so that they can also recruit adolescents and children. So we're excited to be opening this up in a few months for patients 4 years of age and older.